first draft without the finances, then I put the numbers to it, but tonight we just want to talk projects and without getting too caught up in the dollars and cents and where the money's coming from and all that. So yeah, this will all come back. We want 2 meetings this year, so this will all come back.
Nice. Just saw my packet on my porch when I came to the meeting today.
I know, I thought I'd, want to see what the assignments are.
Oh yeah, right.
You didn't get yours yet?
I just saw it when I left the house, so I didn't waste a valuable public works time by looking at the. But if you see what my appointment is.
Yeah, I just want to point to that page here. Let's see.
Need to approve the minutes first? Or do you want to just push that until Ruth gets here too?
I think you can approve the minutes.
They're 6 months old, so.
So we're live and we're going. Just by default, if you just want to welcome everybody. This is Public Works.
Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting of January 4th. Let's get started by a motion to approve the minutes. Anyone want to make that motion? You're going to move to approve the minutes?
Approve the minutes.
Awesome, I'll second
Sorry,
that.
I was still looking at them.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. And then we're going to jump into the capital improvement project, and I think Kevin's going to lead us through that.
Yeah. We put it together a little early this year and thought we'd get projects down and kind of get everybody up to speed here before get kind of the projects approved before Mike spends time to finance them and everything. So
yeah,
make sure everybody's good with it. But
we should do parks first, but that's all right. In no particular order.
yeah.
We'll start with parks. I just flipped.
Yeah, there's 2 pages. Okay, yeah, we'll start with park. Let's start easy.
all right.
You can see Tucker Park should be done this year before the end of this fiscal year. The Mill Pond Park upgrade, we've just left alone. The feasibility study on the roller rink or skateboard park has been completed or it's in the process anyway.
It'll be done by the time we get to the next fiscal year. Yeah. We're wrapping it up right now.
And then we put money aside for the construction and pedestrian scale lighting in City Park.
The other big one's not on here, and I'll back up just a little bit. What we're really trying to do on each of these, we're going back and look at the master plan, and we're seeing what are the priorities identified in that master plan, and where are we at with relation to that. So what are we working on? So the Cochran Park is there as priority. The skate park of some sort is there as a priority, and so that's what's on here. What's not on here that we need to add would be the bleacher improvements at Scriven Park. It's a city park. The city's got the funds. In fact, we've already received the funds from the state, so it's sitting in our investment pool, getting interest for us, which is terrific. And so it's going to sit there until we get that project. But that's going to be a city-funded project. It's going to run through our contract system, our procurement, everything else. So we do need to add that on here. So it's just Scriven Park Arena bleachers, and it's a $2.4 million project.
And how's the fundraising going for that?
The Frolic is going to come to the council at the second meeting in January and kind of give a report on where they've got. Then I know that, they swing for the fence and they were hitting Dolly Parton Foundation and all these big Wrangler and Clint shirts and all this stuff, see if anybody wanted to put their name on the arena
Yeah,
for $1
right.
million. I don't think those have gotten very far. Those are big swings.
Yeah.
They're still reaching out to some of the more local folks that
Okay.
may have some interest in like naming opportunities and things. I can tell you there, I know from being on the board, and we've also been a little bit careful about not hitting our regular rodeo sponsors. Like, hey, you know, prepay for 10 years now. Well, now you don't have money for the rodeo for the next 10 years, right? So they've been a little bit careful about not hitting up the rodeo sponsors that are annually sponsoring and trying to hit people maybe just outside of that fringe.
Okay.
Or maybe some of the bigger sponsors that in the past have said, hey, when you're ready to do improvements, let us know and we'll see what we can do to help you out. But they're not doing like a door campaign or hitting like all the sponsors, like don't put your sponsorship vision. They're being really careful not to do that. And I think what the part of the ask is going to be, I'm kind of steal some of the thunder a little bit just because
It's just being mad.
I would say I'm in a consulting role there where I feel like from the city's perspective, I can tell you what I from the city am expecting and what I think the city council is going to want to see.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to have that full $500,000 match that they were hoping to have. And I think short of hitting up all of our local businesses and local sponsors, they won't be able to do that. This is a little unique project in that it's going to be revenue generating. And I think there is a tourism economic development bonus to this that the city's going to get from this. And so I think what it'll look like will be a partial donations contribution from the Frolic and probably a loan that we'll go out for with a repayment agreement with the Frolic and Rodeo to repay. So, you know, the city will pull out a 5-year, 10-year loan, you know, $200,000, $300,000, and we'll enter an agreement with the Frolic for installment payments and try to get that paid back over the next 5-10 years for partial of that. So it would be, so Frolic's still responsible, but it's just not going to be all up front on the backs of our local sponsors. It'll be over time from proceeds from the sales of ticket revenue, which this is going to generate. So, and again, that'll be looking at the Frolic. The downside is Frolic doesn't really have any real collateral, so to speak. So it's really the conversation for the council is going to be, is there enough economic development / tourism benefit to the community to extend the city's line of credit essentially and borrow the money and enter this agreement with the Frolic. The downside being if the Frolic goes away, we're still going to owe that money and we're not going to have the revenue generating, and then it'll be up to Chelsea to figure out what we're going to do in the arena to sell tickets and be able to make the payment.
I was gonna ask that, because it seems like having more and more events out there is the obvious way to pay it off faster. So any insights into what the discussions have been along those lines?
Yeah, even, I mean, they've been over capacity the last several years. So, I mean, in my personal estimates, you know, I think we're easily selling $20 to $25 a piece when the new stands come in. That's money that we're not making right now because we don't have seating capacity for everybody. That more than pays for, you know, $60,000 a year, you know, $40,000 a year installment. So that's there. And then you talk about the additional events that'll be attracted to come here that are currently going to Benton County or they're going to Lynn County or they're going to other places. Now we're gonna have the newest, nicest facility in the region, and we're gonna draw those events in, and so that's gonna add to that.
So it's gonna be rebuilding the whole grandstands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a horseshoe look to it. So instead of just the one side and the ends, it'll loop all the way around both sides. And some of the new seating on the other side will be more expensive seating, more premium seating back behind the chutes where you can see all the Cowboys stuff. About some box seating opportunities for some of the corporate sponsors and stuff. So there'll be higher priced seating as well. But even the entry level, you know, the $20 ticket, $50 ticket, those will be wrapped around. Those are going to be expanded as well. So it's all the seating's expanding, especially the higher end, more exclusive kind of tickets that are higher priced.
So who is charged with recruiting events to come here? It's confusing to me.
So mostly it's the Frolic. I mean, they manage, our lease agreement with them is that they're going to manage and operate the grounds. But I definitely see benefit. I don't have a lot of time on my end, but if a group wanted to try to recruit a singer, songwriter, somebody to come there, essentially it would be like a rental. And so you look at renting the facility, so it'd be revenue coming in. And then you have all of the revenue that comes to whatever organization's putting on the event. And then you've got all the spillover from gases and grocery and all the other stuff that comes with having events in town. So mostly will be on the Frolic. I mean, the Frolic is looking at doing additional events, but every new event takes new volunteers and manpower, everything else. And currently, Frolic volunteers stay really busy putting on the Frolic and rodeo. And so, to be,
Yeah, I mean, because I think it is an interesting point of if we're putting so much investment, and sorry, Kevin, I know this isn't really on the agenda.
Part of it.
Like we're the state and everyone is putting so much investment into the facility that it almost turns the Frolic organization from just a Frolic organization into like a concessionaire that operates a city-owned facility. And just sort of, are they prepared for that kind of, or is that something that like the city would start renting it out instead of, and the Frolic would just use it for their events, something like that? Just because I think I agree it could be used for a lot more than it's used for right now, but is that something the Frolic is like fully prepared to like be in charge of, or is that something the city needs to be in charge of, or what? But
no, it's a good question. I mean, the lease agreement with the Frolic, it's a 99 years for the Frolic to manage and operate. And I think any additional events that were going there would go through the Frolic, not through the city.
Yeah.
From city manager standpoint, that's great, because I don't necessarily want to take on a rodeo grounds or a facility. I don't have a parks department, right? We have some public works employees that help manage the parks, but they're not maintaining the rodeo grounds either. That's all done by the Frolic.
Yeah.
I think everything would still funnel through them. It's not that uncommon of an arrangement. There's a lot of county rodeo grounds that are leased to the rodeo association that puts everything on.
I went to USC where like the state and the county own the Coliseum.
Right.
USC operates it.
Well, even Hermiston, the city owns it and the rodeo association leases it, and there's a good portion of it. And there's another portion that the county, I think, leases from them and for the county fair and stuff, that the city owns the facility. So you see these agreements and they're mutually beneficial. I've had several conversations with Daryl Hinchberger, the president, about the partnership that's forming between the Frolic and the city. And it truly is a partnership, which means you can't just do whatever you want. Whether you're the city or you're the Frolic, you can't just go down and cut down all the trees, because there's a partner that you need to talk to about cutting all the trees down, right? And you can't just go build a big grandstands on your own. You're going to partner, and one partner is bringing something to the table: the management, the maintenance, the event planning, the event execution, and the other is bringing the ability to go to the state and get financial support for those economic development improvements, right? And so there's definitely a partnership that needs to be formed there, and obviously any financial agreement is going to just add to that partnership that's already there on top of the current lease agreement that's in place. But I think there's good recognition at the city level that the Frolic is an economic development boost for that weekend. Obviously, for some industries more than others, right? But the grounds themselves have this untapped potential to do so much more throughout the year. And I think the Frolic has already shown that we've already expanded the amount of rentals and things happening there throughout the year. I was looking at the calendar for this summer. There's already a couple weddings planned. There's all kinds of big things happening there already that weren't happening 5 years ago when it was privately owned, right? So I do think the Frolic, I'll speak on behalf of as one member of the board for the Frolic, we're fully ready to embrace doing more activities. We want to do more activities. We've got PYC ball fields down there now. We're interested in putting in some flush toilets down there for use. There's definitely a mindset on the Frolic board that we need to make these more accessible, more usable, and really make them an asset for the community, not just be 3 days a year we do the rodeo there. We've gone away from that model a long time ago. So
Good lease for the city to get some revenue from extra events and everything that goes on over there? Or is it because they've leased it from the city, we're kind of out of it, that own it?
yeah, it's on its own. They manage it. And maybe we look at that with some type of a financial deal. If we're going to put all the financing into it, is there, in addition to just the payment back for, $500,000 is nothing to shake a stick at. It's a lot of money for a small nonprofit, and the Frolic is really just a small nonprofit of, a dozen board members. $500,000 from ticket revenues, that's essentially what we'd be getting, right? Is the city's going to own those grandstands, and 500,000 of it's coming from ticket sales from the Frolic.
Right.
That's a great deal for the city too, right? So you know, again, I think it's mutually beneficial, and it's just how does that partnership work, and I think we'll continue to have those conversations about that partnership. But specific to facilities, that's on the schedule for starting this summer, so we're looking to get a request for bids out by the end of February, and it'll be after this year's rodeo. We'll get into demo mode and get things up and going for next year, so.
Is there anything useful that can be done with the stands that are out there now?
We haven't looked that close, I don't think so. I mean, we could put it out there, somebody's interested in repurposing the lumber or something, but it's old, a lot of it's kerosene dipped and everything else. I mean, it used to be a bridge. It used to
Really?
Yeah, it used to be a rail bridge that we dismantled. The Frolic volunteers way back when dismantled and they repurposed, and
If you donate $500, you can get an authentic Frolic and Rodeo bench to put at your house. There you go,
yeah.
Never seen so.
Yeah, that's the best part.
So we won't worry too much about the finance. We'll kind of straighten that out at the next meeting. The intent here was just, it is a project, it is a city project, it's city property, and the funds came to the city. You know, if all the funds had gone to the Frolic, right, they could just be a Frolic project and they could own them and operate them, but the fact is, funds came to the city and it's gonna be a city project and city owned. And again, the Frolic understands that, it's a partnership, they're not gonna own it, they're gonna work and get donations and do ticket sales and all this stuff and give that money to the city, so the city's got new grandstands, but obviously it's to the benefit of the Frolic, right? So again, it's a partnership, right?
Okay.
That's, everybody's kind of growing into that relationship, what that looks like.
I had a separate question, just on the pedestrian scale lighting with the note of parks are closed at dark. I was curious of what our thoughts were on that.
I'm gonna take that off. Chris explained that it's actually along the home run fence of the baseball field, that it would help light.
Okay.
It's the pedestrian walkway there that runs between Kugler Shelter and the parking lot. And the
Okay.
school field, there's a walking
Okay,
path there
yeah,
that gets
yeah,
used
yeah.
early morning.
Oh, so
late
that's where
evening.
the lights would be going.
They'd be along
Okay.
the back of that gravel parking area.
Okay.
So they would light the pathway and light that parking lot a little bit either. And we rent that out, even the winter months, we'll rent that facility out until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And I mean, that last rental block goes from 5 to 8:30, 5 to 9.
And would that
And
still?
a park at 4.
It's dark, yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was wondering. If we can just extend the park
with
hours.
most of that parking lot
Okay.
area, it's not gonna be,
And I'm all for that. I used to walk on that trail all the time, and yeah.
it's not
So,
back along the walking trail like the loop. It's not the loop, it's just that
right,
parking lot.
but still only on that, like the north-south part there. So like we wouldn't go into the school district.
I mean, that's what I'm envisioning. No, it would be on city property. That's what I envision. I mean, if we put another out by the entry or something to kind of weed into it, we haven't really fully developed that
Sure,
yet.
sure.
It was really desire to try to repurpose what we have
Right.
here rather than just throwing them away.
Right, no, I mean, because they work fine.
But even those, I think we're gonna try to find a new home for these, see if there's another small community that
Okay.
wants to purchase and convert these over to LEDs and do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
And
Because how many do you think would be going in at the park?
what did we figure? What did I put for Donham there?
20,000.
Yeah, I think it was like 10 of them or something like that. I think we figured about 2,000 a piece to convert them over to LED, and it may be a little more than that. So
It would be cool if the school district wanted to put some lighting on
I
it.
mean, that's what I'm wondering, if we could even just have them work with us and extend it out to the football field or something, but.
yeah,
I know a lot of people end up parking in the park and
Right.
walking over during football and
It
baseball.
helps if it has that little university campus feel.
We could put one of those blue phone things up there so that everyone would think it was a university campus.
yeah. School districts is. I'd be more than happy to talk about donating. To
Right,
them. You know, I'm not opposed to donating to another city either. I'd
Right,
put
sure.
a little bit of dollar on them, just to try to get a little bit of money to help pay for some of them that we're installing in the park. But no, if the school district want them, I don't think we'd have any problem with them doing it, but they've gotta run conduit, they gotta get
Right,
electric out there. I mean, I wouldn't be a free thing for them either. It's
Right,
cost
yeah.
involved and all that, so.
Okay.
Might be even a way to use our home run, or the lights on the stadium lights to direct one light, or a light up to direct it back. And
Yeah.
then we'd have all the conduits and everything.
Yeah.
a part of the wall or something.
As far as it's concerned, we, like I said, we dropped anything in there just to try to repurpose some of the ones that we've got there. Help out a little bit. That wasn't intended to be a huge project. It was kind of a side thing that, you know, maybe our guys could work on a little bit and do if they have.
And like the installation and the conduit, is that something you can
Do it.
Okay.
Ditch witch.
There's some other projects in the park master plan that we'd like to get to, but really wanted to really focus in on getting Cochrane done, getting the Mill Pond Park. I don't think we'll be far enough to get there. We added some extra money there just so that when the developer builds the park, if there's extras that we want that aren't in the agreement for him to provide, then we could tap in and do those then. So that's what that little $10,000 money was for. I wouldn't be opposed to looking at bumping that up a little bit if we're interested in artificial surface, if we're interested in some ADA stuff that isn't in the current requirement for the developer. So that'd be the only thing there if we wanted to bump that number up a little bit.
And when will the surface and stuff be done at the Cochrane Park?
Should be, I think we're still waiting on about another month
Oh, okay.
before it comes in. They're putting all getting it filled up and compacted and everything.
Okay. I mean, because I think that would, like, I don't want to do that again if it goes in there and we end up not liking it or something.
Oh, we decided not to do that at Cochrane, right?
The what?
We're
Not
just,
to be artificial turf.
oh, I thought we decided to just go with the chips. Remember the
No. We were talking about
artificial
that.
turf.
Yeah.
It started off as chips and then
Yeah.
it was changed.
That is the experimental one, so we're gonna see how it goes.
Right.
If people like it, get feedback, so it holds up a little bit.
So we'd have plenty of time to see how it goes and get feedback before we have to do this next budget. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And if, again, if not, as always with all these, put it in the budget, we can always decide to not do
Sure,
it. But if you
okay.
don't put it in the budget, then you're not doing it, so.
Yeah.
Have any other, I think Kevin captured everything else that we talked about. The skate park, I'll just be very blunt in this meeting. That 300,000 is probably not, could be enough to do all of that park, so we're gonna be looking at doing a grant.
Okay.
And the experience that I and the city have with those grants is you have to have community support, you have to have match, you have to have, you know, you have to show community interest in it, and it's gotta be more than just it's in our park master plan, right?
Yeah.
So the, Bossy Overman Discovery Park, it took us 2 attempts to get to it, and the second time we went, we'd hired a consultant, we had a day out there on there, we had a work group and helped plan it, and we had all these pictures. I mean, we had a lot to show the committee about the community support for helping plan and design that park before we were able to get the funding for it. And we didn't get it the first go around, it took us a couple tries, so the money is there, and I'm fine with that. But what we're gonna hear from the consultant that we hired on the feasibility study is the next step is to have some grassroots efforts and to have a nonprofit form up or a grassroots effort to come forward to help do some fundraising, to show some community support, hold some events, do some bottle drives, something there. And actually, if you go, I haven't read it yet, but I think what we will see, I'm pretty confident what we will see, and part of what we'll get from the consultant from Grindline is you can go to their website today and it'll show here's the steps to get to build your community skate park. And
Okay.
where the step we're at now in the feasibility, the very next step is local fundraising and match fundraising. You know, I'm hoping the community's expectation is we're just gonna go build a skate park tomorrow. Here's the design, here's the feasibility, here's the recommendations, here's what it would look like. Let's start raising some funding and see if we can get some matching funds so that we can have a successful application to the Oregon Parks and Rec.
Do you have any kind of idea, like, so we have 300,000 set aside, like, is it gonna cost 400,000? Is it gonna cost like six, like just?
Grindline will have those numbers, and I don't have them off the top of my head, but they've
Okay.
got an idea. I mean, we gave them an idea, like budget wise, like it's not $1 million,
Okay.
but it's gonna come in over that 300.
Okay.
If it's closer to 5 or closer to 3, I'm not sure, but we'll have that within the next few weeks.
Okay.
Chelsea's working with that.
So, but this would probably still be like
It'll be a substantial contribution, but it's not gonna be everything. I think
Right,
we're still gonna be looking for a grant, or we're still gonna be
Yeah.
looking for some local fund. The 300 won't be
Yeah, okay.
We can increase this amount, we can just pay for it all, or we can see if there's really community support for it. I don't think there's any secret that the survey that went out was heavily influenced by people from outside of the immediate Philomath area,
Sure.
which is great, but they're also not paying our property taxes that are going towards construction and maintenance of the parks, right? So, you know, I want Corvallis to have a really, really cool park too, because I don't have to pay for it, and I can just go to Corvallis and play in it, right? Well, that's not really a fair burden to put on City of Philomath and Philomath residents. If we've got a dozen residents in town that want a really cool skate park, that's a pretty expensive skate park per capita, right? So I do think I'd like to see a little more grassroots effort of people that are in Philomath and are gonna be using the facility than what we've seen to date. And there's a small organization, Babs, Build-A-Better Skate Park, they're out there, but again, they've really died off too in the last year or so. We just not heard from anybody, not seeing stuff. So I think there's room for more community engagement, more support there. And we can do some of those efforts, but some of it needs to be a little more organic and grow from home too, you know, and I don't think it has to take 10 years, but the tennis team worked for 10 years.
That's
Yeah,
what I said.
yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to raise money, and they were doing snow cones at the Frolic for all weekend long. They were, I mean, nonstop. They were doing stuff for 10 years trying to raise money. And even then, I think the city kicked in like $200,000, if I remember that number right. And so, you know, the city covered a lot of it, but that was after many years of grassroots efforts and parents and everybody pulling together to say, hey, we really, really need this.
I remember when I was in student government at the high school, in the ASB funds, there was like $14,000 in a tennis court fund. What the heck is this for?
I don't want to go into all the details, but the records I've seen, I wasn't here at the time, but the records I've seen, and Matt, you'd be more familiar with it. It seemed like there was funding and there was some grants and stuff lined up that we could have forwarded, and the city and the school kind of butted heads about where to place them, and all that grant money went away, right? So it was like, well, if you.
I don't personally blame Pete Twana, but if you want to put a name on it.
Here. But I do think my point is the tennis courts are probably an extreme example. I don't think it's gonna take 10 years, but I would
It's not
like
gonna
to
take
see,
a year.
I would like to see some time of the community
Yeah.
coming together to show support for a skate park. It's only gonna strengthen our application when we go to apply for it. Or we just spend all of the money, you know, we bump this up to $500,000, we just spend all the money, and maybe it gets used once in a while. And
And then we don't have $200,000 to spend on
something else.
other stuff.
Right. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
But we'll put the money in there. When we hear more from Grindline, the consultant, I think their recommendation is going to be get a nonprofit going, get a small organization, grassroots, start holding events, that kind of thing. So, but it's not a bad placeholder to have it. That was the easy one.
That was the easy one?
Yeah,
I may have changed my mind there. Water, another one that we sit down with the park and water master plan and some of the projects on there. And of course, the water plant and the reservoir are still moving forward. The Nebeck Hill reservoir seismic upgrades we're looking for a grant to help pay for that. The 11th Street Well Aquifer, we've got out not to do this budget year, but the budget year after that, and that's a study of whether we can treat water during the winter time when we have a vast amount of water, wells, and store it there like many cities do. So it's a study.
You need to retreat it.
Right. Yeah. We're working on the remote meter reading right now, which will help us quite a bit. It'll free up about a day, one person for a day of meter reading. They'll be able to just hit a button and read all the meters from here. Then we'll just have to go check the ones that for some reason aren't registering or
Okay.
leaks and everything. We'll also be able to do, check for leaks and do, immediate reads right on hand, so.
So is the system set up to give you alerts if, like, there's a lot of water going at midnight kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, and then also, I think instead of 35 or 45 days of records we get, it boosts it up to, I think, 3 years or something, that we can actually go back to see things that are going on or what might have went on, so.
Nice.
The Starlight Village generator, we're still somewhere between 40 and 44 weeks away from getting that, but it is on order. Just waiting for it to come in or get a little closer. We'll be pouring the pad for it and getting the electronics and everything, conduits and stuff situated, have it ready for when it comes in, be able to set it up. And
We're doing that in-house? Nice.
And that's all in the 150,000?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Water conservation plan, our last one is 90 or 94, 2004.
It's 2004.
2004, that's what I thought. It's about time to upgrade it, so we put that on the list. North 19th Street water line segment is a short section of water line from Main Street to College. And it kind of goes into one, as it'll be one project. The South 19th is from Main Street to Chapel, or almost to Chapel Drive.
This is described on the back page. You guys are seeing the front and the back.
Oh,
Kind of detail of the project.
So those are, the Benton County is planning on coming in and grinding an inlay and redoing 19th Street from Chapel to Industrial Drive. So the water lines and especially the sewer lines, which we'll see, are not in the best shape through there. So we want to be able to get in ahead of them. They're already gonna, we met with them a couple weeks ago, and they would like to have done it this year. They're gonna try to put it out an extra year so we can get in and get our sewer and water stuff
I was
taken
gonna say, I
care of.
thought the plan was for them to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. They mentioned that. Well, yeah, we don't have any engineering done on this yet or anything, but it's on the list. We're gonna put it on the list and hope to move forward, because it's a shame to rebuild a street and then have to tear it up because the stuff under it's
Right.
bad.
So so the water and sewer part would start next summer?
We would, if it's approved, my expectation would be to get the engineering started in July,
Okay,
so we could get it out to bid, the first part of January, February the following year,
okay.
and of course do the construction in 25, 26, which could carry over to.
Well, we'd start construction in 24, 25, because we're gonna start construction before July, right? On the budget this year, so we could go out for bid and start construction in May or June.
Oh,
The money there, then we'll finish it,
25.
it'd be 24, 25,
Yeah, okay. But May or June of 2025.
right? Right. But it's gotta be in the budget for 24,
Yeah.
25. So. These are always tricky with these the fiscal year and the summer projects, because you're always gonna go through the end of this fiscal year and into next fiscal year, but typically we front load the whole project in this fiscal year and then just know by the time next year how much of the project's left, and we have that in there as well. But it's not uncommon to see the full budget amount span over 2 fiscal years, because you just don't know how much of it you're gonna get done at the beginning of the summer and how much will be done at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
If you budget it for both summers, then you know it's there, and then at the end of the project, it's all kind of washed. Whatever money you did spend is still sitting in the account, right?
Yeah,
And
okay.
those others, so
16th Street water line and 17th Street water line that are kind of just as placeholders for the 26, 27 years that we'd look at.
Is that just routine replacement?
Part of the master plan, it's just for upsizing. There's upsizing of the pipes, better fire codes and stuff.
Gotcha. So I had a question about the seismic stuff. Say this without being an ass. If there's an earthquake, I don't care how much improvement we do to that reservoir, it's gonna go. So what's the seismic improvements that we're doing, and is it mandated that we do them, or is it just a best practices kind of thing?
I don't know that it's mandated. It's highly recommended. They did demand, the state did demand that seismic upgrade appear in the, as a matter of fact, they had to go through, the engineer had to go back and create a seismic section to cover that.
I've applied for a FEMA grant to cover that expense, both the Nebeck Hill generator and also the seismic upgrade there. So if it's not our money and it's federal money to do it,
It's still our money. Yes.
It's not Philomath, it's not all Philomath money, right? So I get that, and some of it's the seismic upgrade, but then we've also got some software and operation stuff, some guts of it. It's probably, I don't know, $80,000 to $100,000 of that is upgrade to our current SCADA system and all that, the reporting and monitoring and stuff as well. So, I mean, your point's well taken, and the seismic, I mean, they're essentially gonna pour a new concrete ring all around the base of it to keep, if there's an earthquake, the base of it doesn't shift off from the current, the walls don't shift off the base. So it's just pouring a concrete donut around it, and, you know, is it gonna help when the 9.5 hits? No, but it might help the 3.2, right, or the 5.2 or whatever, so, you know.
And it was built to the seismic code when it was built.
Sure.
It changes every year.
Yeah.
The new reservoir built completely different. Just because there's new data out there, I guess, on what to do.
I'm starting to believe more and more that the new data is just a new way to somehow keep your job and keep funds coming into your department.
A better, smarter engineer coming out of school, right?
Absolutely.
What are these guys doing? They don't know what they were doing.
And they need a job too. I get it. It just,
So
there's a lot of things like
I
that.
did learn on that, even though it's built to what they call seismic code, it's still not as tight as you could build it. And that's from the engineers. He said, yeah, you could probably build something that withstands 9.5 or 10 or, you know, a huge one. He said you'd never be able to afford it.
right.
He said there's so much, it costs so much money that there's no way of justifying it. There's no way you can afford to do it. Anybody really. So you build it for kind of what you expect. And
That's an engineer's favorite joke, right? It's like anybody can build a bridge, but only an engineer can do a bridge you can afford to build, right? That's true. Give me enough concrete, I'll build you a bridge. Right? But engineer figured out to do it in ways that you can afford to do it. And there's a lot to that. You know?
there is.
Any questions on water projects? Again, we're trying to follow the water master plan best we can. Obviously, you'll have an update, just a precursor, you have an update Monday on the water reservoir. That'll be a public update. I think we're almost there and getting that project back on track and moving, which is great.
Awesome.
So we've got a verbal, we're waiting for the written to follow, but we've got a good verbal with the contractor, and should be able to get started on that again fairly quickly.
Nice.
I thought that was a new skate park.
It's gonna double into that until then. Yeah.
Sewer, we originally, when we did the 11th Street project this last summer, it was to include the sewer for 11th and Pioneer right in that area, but since we didn't do the whole street improvement, we didn't do the sewer, so that is on
Just on the corner there.
It covers from about 10th to 12th, and houses north of Pioneer.
Gotcha.
And then the construction for that, the next year. Chapel Drive Force Main was last year, we did get it completed. That was part of the getting in there with Benton County and getting it done at the same time they were doing, well, it needed to be moved for the fish passage way that had to be put in. Engineering of South 16th Street, that's the South 16th improvement, the road widening and everything from Applegate, and extending it around to 17th and Cedar.
Yeah, okay.
We got most of that, almost all of the engineering's completed with that, and going out to bid in the next, did Ray say? Last I heard was maybe in the next couple weeks or
Yeah,
so.
in a couple weeks.
So we'll
By
be
the end of the month.
moving
That's
forward. Yeah. And then
And you note just note the water line on 16th is good, so we're not replacing water line, it's just the sewer line, and then we'll have to do street and storm. But the water line we checked, it's new enough and in good placed.
And is the water line gonna run the whole length of this new street?
It does currently, I don't think it loops though, does it?
No, we'll be bringing a new one from 17th down Cedar and tying it in right where it's going to curve.
Right. Nice.
And that one, we're not exactly sure with the school in and everything what the contractor will want to do. The engineer's putting in the options of that, you know, if you want to start with sewer over on 18th, 17th in that area, kind of away from the school, because we're going to line probably 95% of those pipes rather than dig them up and replace the pipes. The alignments are good. There's a few repairs that need to be made that are too big of holes to span on with a liner, so we'll be doing mostly lining, so the roads will stay more open. We won't be tearing those all up, so.
Nice.
It'll be kind of up to the contractor, you know, do you want to start right after school gets out and get it finished by October, or you want to start in March, April if the weather's good? So we get a little bit better pricing, they said. And the contractor has a little bit of wiggle room in there.
But that would be starting in this year.
Yes, could be starting by May or so.
Okay.
The 16th, 17th, 18th Street, that's the same, the sewer project, same. It's kind of, they're both kind of combined now, just because we figured we'd get the better pricing with the sewer and everything else together than separating them into two different contracts.
$1 million that, the $1,078,000 that's coming from the ARPA funding, that was what the
Okay,
council
yeah, right.
dedicated $1 million of ARPA funding towards. So this is that big sewer project that we were looking for funding for.
And then to go with the Benton County project, we South 19th Street, Applegate to Starker sewer replacement. Get that.
So that's almost to Chapel, but not quite.
Yeah, it goes down to, well,
Because is the developer on that corner there gonna be responsible for?
they'll be responsible for bringing it from 17th up to the end of where we're at now. Yeah.
I think there's already a sewer main there at Starker that comes up from there, so there's already new sewer from Chapel up to Starker, so this will be connecting into there.
Oh, I
I
see.
think it must have come in with the subdivision when it came in. It's the one that comes up 19th Street to Starker. Did that come in when?
Oh, that
Can we
comes
open it?
from kind of the school district entrance there to serve Starker, McCall, and Lowther right there. That brings over to where the school entrance is off of Chapel, and it goes out to our other pump station.
Okay.
There was a gentleman that lived on the corner of 19th and Chapel, extended the sewer, ran a sewer across 19th and up to, or down to his place there at Chapel years ago.
Okay.
There's question on if we can get sewer north from that point, because the street is a lot higher than where the homes are. There's a sewer line that we just found, actually didn't know anything about. It's not on any maps or anything, that runs down the old 18th Street from where it actually dead ends. Now it runs south, under a couple big buildings and everything. And we always assumed
Nice.
when we found out that it was draining there that it's a private main line, because we've
Yeah.
never maintained it or anything. But we're kind of rethinking who's gonna be responsible for it now, because of the fact that we can't main all those homes to 19 because of elevation problems. So we'll be looking, trying to figure that part out before the South 19th, but I'll be able to pick some of them up.
Just sort of out of curiosity, the South 19th Street sewer is like 1.3 million, and the South 19th water is only 685,000. Why is it so much more expensive for sewer than water?
Generally depth and
Okay.
the depth of pipe, water.
What if I burst in the water
No,
or sleeve in it?
no, not water. We'd have to open cut it. I'm not sure why the estimate is so much different, other than sewer's usually always more expensive just because it's deeper through there.
And bigger. It's just different pipe.
Sure. Okay.
And then future projects, hopefully the year out from that is the 15th Street trunk sewer, which is a upsizing of the sewer from College to Cedar Street on 15th.
Okay.
That one I know is really deep.
Okay.
And then the 1952 sewer, it's listed as a program, which is just identified as 1952 sewer pipe replacement. So whenever we get the funding to replace the old concrete sewer, that's one of them that's identified, so that we do.
Okay.
8th and College Street sewer lines is just to upsize, help move sewage, and the same with Applegate and 20th. It's a kind of a, I think it crosses the, I think it crosses the freeway or the highway there.
It says from College to 21st.
Yeah, it goes to the original. It would cross right there at the motel.
Right.
It would come across there and up to Applegate, which we used to have a pump station back in 1952, I think, that was at the corner right where the school, the entrance to the high school is, right at the end of 21st. So that's like manhole number 1 in the system. It replaces, it comes in and replaces that area.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Any other questions on the sewer projects? And again, we'll talk more on the finances next month and where all the money's coming from, whether it's grants or SDC. And some of these, as you're aware, will be SDC eligible if it's new extension plans, if it's replacement, if it will not. So then you're talking about just using our fees, we're charging our utility fees to pay for it. But again, we'll get it out more a little bit next month on how to pay for it. And of course, we keep the balance going to the end, so we'll know from year to year how much money's still in there. And that has to play when we start looking at how much money we're going to transfer out of that sewer utility fund into landfill equipment. It's that transfer into LBE that we're able to pay for these projects out of. So there's always the option to decrease the sewer rates, but then that transfer's not as big, and then these projects don't happen 2 years out, they happen 3 or 4 years out, right? So everything's tied together on funding these projects, but this is a small list. The full list of the master plan is very extensive. I mean, it's a literally 20-year plan of all the construction needs to take place. We continue to grow and pipes continue to wear out, so.
We've given what's,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
water's
same
there
one.
twice, I don't know what happened there.
Figured I'd print one that is challenging to read in case somebody
Yeah, that'd be
like getting it.
yeah, just if you'd like to,
The bike foot path, for some reason I got that, I lined it out for 24, 25, and we pushed it out to 25, 26. It's the upgraded a crossing system there at 17th and Main Street, where if you're heading east in the morning, you're looking up into the sun, and when you come home at night, heading west, you look up into the sun, and you don't really see that. So it's bringing them down, a better one that's down lower, like 19th Street, or actually.
I don't think that's
Boulevard.
this one, that's a different one. This
up
one,
on streets.
yeah, this one is it was just to do some improvements at the rectangular rapid flashing one south of Boulevard Apartments or
Right,
west of Boulevard, so that new station there. It's just adding more reflective striping on there and some more barricades and stuff. So this is only like $2,000 or $3,000. It's a small one. I just wanted to give Gary some money to be able to buy more reflective stuff and have that pop a little more. That stuff gets dirty and grimy and people hit it and it wears out, and then all of a sudden you can't see it anymore. So we're gonna just get that thing glowing again.
Okay.
That's all that is. This money it's a percentage of the funding that we get from ODOT, and it has to go for adjacent bike footpaths adjacent to the highway. So it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes, stuff like, because it's not a lot of money that we get each year.
Right.
And we see the money coming in, or anticipate to come in, and we've got the Flowing with Corvallis bike trail, but it only needs so much maintenance, right? And so we're always kind of struggling to find an adjacent bike path, something that's adjacent to the highway that we can spend this money on. But I think where we'll start spending this money is all these crossings. We're gonna have 2 new crossings in town, and we're gonna have to maintain those and keep those up to graded and stuff. So I think we'll have more of that. We're gonna have a 2-way bike lane up here that we're gonna have to maintain. People running those, we just put all those lane linear deals along the primary school. You see some of those, they've already lost their reflective stuff, whatever. Which really surprised me. Those are like 3 or 4 months old, and the reflective tape's like already coming off. I'm like,
I think
why did Gary let me buy the cheap ones, right? My quote came in much lower than his did.
Yeah, imagine.
But those are the types of things that we'll be able to spend this money on going forward.
Yeah.
It's just we're not really in the habit of putting money aside there yet, and I don't know if it's helpful to just put that as kind of a highway crossing funding and just put the $2,000 or $3,000 in there a year, so that Gary and Kevin have got that money to make improvements as we need to. Or what the best way going forward. It's kind of hard to identify like a specific project. Like this year we're going to do this reflective coating, and that year we're going to do that coating.
So, along these lines, we've been talking about putting some counters up. Did the guys at Campo reach out to you about
We did.
potentially doing a permanent counter somewhere?
It looks like we're gonna try to get one on the Corvallis Philomath bike ped path there, just inside Huntsicker path. So yeah, I think we're gonna get a permanent there. But again, that's through Campo funding. It's not something I don't think we're expected to maintain those.
No, I don't think so either, but I'd be very interested to see what the numbers are on that.
I've been pushing. I'd like to get the numbers up before the streetscape stuff is done. I was hoping to have numbers this year, even to put a temporary one out there, and they've been able to get one out there. So
I got 2 quick things on that. I know there were like several other sort of, excuse me, mini projects that were highlighted in the school circulation study. Do you have like updates on sort of when we might be able to work on some of those, or?
We are working on some of those now.
Right,
We're working on 17th Street crossing right now. We took care of primary school. 16th Street is kind of the big focus now. I think we're kind of in a wait and see pattern what 16th done about Applegate and 19th. We're gonna kind of see what happens, you know, how much traffic that punch through of 16th Street over to Cedar and 17th, how much that's gonna reduce the congestion at Applegate and 19th. But there were some improvements that were called for at 19th and Main Street, different striping and
Right.
different things. So we definitely look at that. Maybe between now and next month, I can explore that list a little bit better and see if some of these would work there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be bike ped path, not necessarily
Right, not lanes.
crossing
Yeah,
stuff, but
yeah.
I'll look a little bit
Okay.
closer into that.
Okay.
I know we've been on the fringe a little bit with some of the spending that we've done in the past, where it's like, this is kind of works. And, you know, it's such a small dollar amount, ODOT's not gonna chase them down for it, and so there's
Yeah,
kind of,
okay.
you know, we wanna spend it on appropriate bike ped supported pathways.
Yeah, I think it pretty much has been.
I think we have, and I think that crossing obviously would qualify. I maybe would question these crossings a little bit more if that was like an annual thing, but
And when you say like adjacent to the highway, like would that include like bike lanes on the highway, or is it supposed to be like?
it's supposed to be
Okay.
separate, yeah,
Okay.
separate bike ped path,
Okay.
yeah. So let me look at this just a little bit more. I don't think it's bad to have the nice placeholder there. I don't know that I would call it East Highway 20 crossing improvements, although this year,
Yeah. Okay.
but it may just be for, you know, maybe we just call it bike ped path crossings, highway crossings, or something like that.
Yeah. I guess
Highway crossing.
the last question I had, I don't know if it belongs here, like in streets or whatever, but is just so the county is going to redo all of like South 19th Street. Just is there anything we can tap into on that as far as the sort of bike pedestrian safety for kids by the primary school? Like, I don't know if there's anything we would want to do there. It just seems like I don't know if we want to, you know, make the crossings raised or like try to, you know, separate bike lanes or anything. I feel like there are a lot of little kids walking and biking there a lot. And if they're already kind of thinking about redoing it, but, or am I coming into the process?
Hasn't been engineered yet.
Yeah, it hadn't been engineered. It's all under Benton County.
Right.
But I would think they would be putting in the striping, at least striping that
Yeah.
is, you know, more pedestrian friendly and everything
Okay.
with the upgrade.
So it feels like a nice opportunity to do some of these things with maybe not a ton of additional cost if they're already redoing the whole thing. But,
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep in good communication with them on that project and look for obvious areas, especially stuff that's identified in that report,
Right.
or the recommendations from that consultant on those areas on the improvements. But you're right, I know one was like the raised
Right,
crossing there,
right.
just south of the primary school entrance, or just north of it, I guess, on the north leg of that.
Yeah.
In addition to, I think, the improvements that we've done already there.
Right.
Yeah, we'll just coordinate with the staff. I think it's a staff level thing,
Yeah,
just to
okay.
coordinate with them and do what we can. And if we need to throw a little bit of money that way,
Sure.
to help them do some upgrades, we can do that as well.
Okay.
You get the eye from Assistant City Manager. Hello, Assistant City Manager. You have a public comment?
We did, for some reason that nobody's ever been able to explain to us, the city is responsible for the section of 19th Street from Main to.
I was curious about that when I saw that in here. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why for sure.
So we don't even own it between Applegate and College. We only own it.
From Main to College.
Great.
So we have that one block. It's been handy at times because
Okay.
we've done sewer work in there that we haven't had to get a permit.
Sure. Okay.
Yep, that's ours. So it's getting a little bit alligatored now and breaking
Yeah,
down.
right.
So we also talked to them about, you know.
While you're doing it, can you?
Exactly. It'd be a shame to have all this nice street and block or block
And then the county puts up a little sign that's like, Philomath owns this, not us.
This is Benton County road jurisdiction.
Yeah, yeah.
Entering Benton County road jurisdiction.
Speed change to.
And I guess, well, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm on street stuff. But just, I know part of the whole big discussion with this safety for schools thing was like talking to the county about changing the truck route piece of it. Is that, so how's that going?
Yeah, they need to make improvements to 13th and College,
Okay.
which means widening, and there's some grade issues there, and of course the flooding and storm issues there. I'm in kind of preliminary conversations with them at staff level to see where that is on their priority list.
Okay.
But I don't think it would be
You have to improve 13th in College.
13th and Chapel. Sorry,
Okay.
Okay, good catch. 13th and Chapel.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough turn for the trucks to make right now. They can do it, and that's what I would say. I've seen them do it. They do it all the time. It's not a great.
There's no traffic going.
Yeah, it's not a great turn. So they want improvements there.
Like the turn.
I don't know. It's like do that or else we're not going to take trucks off of 19th
Right.
Street. But as soon as you talk about taking trucks off 19th, that's the first thing they say is we got to get improvements down 30. If you're going to move down 13th, we need improvements there then because I take 19th, so I don't have to make the corner at 13th.
Right, okay.
So, and again, I've just had very preliminary conversations with the county about, hey, where's that on your priorities? And we just need to match back up again and see where they're at. So,
It looks like someone's living again on that property right there at the corner.
somebody's living.
It looked like that was abandoned for a long time, but now,
yeah,
Yeah.
there's vehicles there all the time. And
yeah,
we're talking about like 6 trucks lined up.
yeah, exactly.
Right in.
Exactly.
I have a truck. I want barbecue. Okay,
Sorry, I'll
I've
stop
got a
by
note.
the tweet.
I've got a note here to double check on this. We'll bring it back next month.
Okay,
We're gonna find some small projects adjacent to that I can tie in.
okay, cool.
We just have the 16th Street project, the extension. We're waiting for, the master plan should be wrapped up here. As a matter of fact, I was just out walking around with the engineer this morning on a couple of things.
Okay.
So it's just about done, about ready to be wrapped up, and then we thought we'd wait before we start pulling off of some of those to identify projects to do. Cool. So we have, he pointed out a couple of them for me, so.
So while we're talking about storm drains, can we maybe get just a brief update on where things are with Mill Pond and the closing of the ditches and all that stuff?
My understanding is the county is holding the cards again and waiting for dry weather before they're gonna let them punch that drainage across Chapel. So we're gonna cross your fingers and hope we don't have a really bad, wet, slippery, muddy winter. And plans to get it done in the spring as soon as it dries out. But plans have been submitted, plans have been reviewed and approved. They're just not issuing a permit until it dries out. They're not issuing anybody permits to work in the right of way right now, so. Sure.
And that also, so that includes that ditch, like north of the
Behind
north side?
Timothy,
Yeah.
and that's where the water's flowing currently.
Right,
And
okay.
so until it has a place to really divert and get
Yeah,
the other side of Chapel, we don't wanna fill that in yet. It's got water in it now, it's full, so. Fill that in now, that'd be water going elsewhere downstream and potentially, I mean, I wouldn't be flooding somebody out right now, but
but sure, okay.
high waters it could be, so.
Groovy, thanks.
That was the
Streets. For the engineering of the South 16th Street extension, the actual project costs, showing up. Refunding or continuing to fund and finish up the streetscape improvement, along Applegate and Main Street. The 11th Street improvements we got finished up, so that came off. Main Street crossing at 17th, engineering and the construction, that's the one that I was all pumped up about in the bike head path one. That's been a sore spot and since it went in with me, just because of
Okay.
the way it is, apologize for the confusion there.
No.
I'll just add on that if I can,
Yeah,
Kevin.
please.
Originally, we had that down as a $128,000 project. in preliminary conversations with ODOT and the scope of that thing. I've actually reached out to Kittleson Associates Engineering that did the school safety circulation report for us, just to get a preliminary scope of the work for them on what that would look like. And it looks like we may, and more likely will be required to do ADA improvements there on the corners. We may have to add some additional lighting there because they've got new standards. ODOT has new standards for lights on either side, overhead lights on either side of those crossings that we're not currently compliant with. More conduit, we have to redo that center island area. The one that's there doesn't meet their current code. So it's not going to be take down that arm and the light and put up new ones.
Okay.
It's going to be some pretty substantial changes there to make that safer, which is what we want.
Right.
But it also added about $200,000 onto the project. So some of that money is coming from the some of the ARPA funds that were left over. We kicked that direction for that project. If you remember, that was one of the first things on there. But there's going to be a lot of street dollars coming there that we weren't previously planning to put there, but we will now, right? So it's a high priority project in that street or school circulation study, and it's just going to be a bigger scope than what we had originally thought it might be.
Blackberries also grow into that extensively right here. On the
North side.
Yeah, on the north side, on the east end of that intersection. Not that I walk there every day, but
From the neighbors.
yeah, it's pretty.
Okay, good. Throw in a bottle of Roundup.
There you go. Now it's a $300,000.
The lawsuit.
Yeah.
You mentioned streetlights. I had a question about that. Or this is not really related to that, but for the streetscapes project, when the decorative streetlights go in, are they then also removing the gooseneck streetlights that are currently there? Okay.
I just confirmed that.
Look at that. Glad you meandered in here. Okay. Okay.
They said most of them are removed, but there's a few that
They still need for some
we
reason.
need for some reason.
Okay. Okay. Yes. If we're talking about, we need to put in street lamps on other corners as we redo them, are we trying to continue our downtown theme out that way? Okay. Okay.
So we've added the new street light, the more decorative street light. We've added standards, so that is the new standard.
Okay.
We kind of got in the middle. Les Schwab kind of got in the middle where they had a condition that said they were required with their remodel that they had to add a street light out there.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't want you to put a Cobra up,
Right.
the Cobra because that'll just come down. We want the new ones, and they're like, okay, where are the new ones, and where do we buy them? How much do they cost? And we were in the middle of ordering, weren't sure, and so we ended up getting. I think they had budgeted $6,000 for one of the Cobra lights there, and so I said, well, the others are going to be more than that. I said, give me 8, and we'll call it fair. We'll just take care of that. So they did a payment in lieu of.
Okay.
So we've got $8,000 from them. I think we already ordered one extra.
Okay.
So that'll be coming in. So yeah, as we remodel and as we make other improvements to the street, that will be the standard light that gets installed.
And does that go everywhere? Because I'm thinking about too, I know, my parents live out on Green Street.
Yeah,
And that kind of light might look a little random, just. plopped
You know,
on
get a
that
new
corner.
subdivision coming in. It won't be
Okay,
in the new
okay.
subdivision.
Okay,
So this will
okay.
be replacement lighting out in the Main Street corridor
Okay. Okay.
within the highway. Yeah. So we'll have I'm not sure what we put in there for design standards right now, but we'll need to.
They're the same ones.
Yeah, so to just delineate between sometimes these are required and sometimes these are required.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry.
Be something to pick up at pre-design meetings and everything. And those are ordered, they're 20 to 22 weeks away before coming in, then we have to stain them and assemble them and everything, so I'll be getting with Chelsea to have her help me write the RFP for the installation of those and everything when it gets a little bit closer, because I hate to get them out there and get them priced now, and then, when it's 22 weeks, 23 weeks down the road, they say, well, yeah, what was good for 30 days or something.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that when it gets a little bit closer to time. The North 19th Street, Main to College, that was one that we talked about a little bit ago with Benton County.
And there's nothing like new like that's just redoing it. We're not like changing anything.
No. And then the TSP projects, we went through the list and kind of picked some of the low hanging fruit that we could do in-house real quick and get some of those marked off.
Okay.
And safety stuff, which is what almost all that covers. We didn't do any big contract type ones other than 16th Street with push through and 17th, right?
Some of it's striping, adding bike lane striping, adding some share rows on the bike car shared traffic areas, some crosswalks that have gaps missing within the safe routes to school. And these are all, $20 and $5 and $15,000 projects.
Right.
We just kind of grouped them together and called it safe route to school projects, and we'll do them all at once.
What are the bus stop amenities?
We're adding this year we purchased 6 new bus shelters, but I think that this TR2, I just don't know off the top of my head. I have to look and see
That's
what
okay.
the specifics to.
It's
Is
just
it like lighting or
I think it's the actual bus stop.
the shelter?
Shelter.
Oh, okay.
Each of those now, but apparently I don't know if the 5 or 6 now covers what this one was identifying, or if this is a different
Okay.
one outside of those. But
I'm getting off track. I know. What did we end up ordering? Because I know we had talked about that a little bit in the.
we got some nice fancy down at Public Works Yard now. I just sent Kevin the list of my kind of priorities where I'd like to see them
Okay.
go based on current use and size of the pad and all that stuff. So that'll be a little project for Public Works to do a little bit. We'll probably contract the concrete pads out, and then our guys will hopefully get those installed.
Probably dig them out and get them ready to go and have them.
It's a metal wood, or it's a black metal base and glass, and it's got a cool like a copper root to it.
Okay.
They're cool looking. They're made out going with kind of the timber town, and they're made out of wood, but
Yeah.
will match like the bike racks and the benches, all that. They're
Yeah.
just that flat black
Okay.
tube metal, so it'll
Okay.
kind of match those.
And are we thinking, will those be done like?
We'll probably work on what we can in between. Gary, when he gets back from vacation, wanted to kind of get started on some of that stuff. Some of it will be working over the top of the contractor, which we don't want to do, but
Yeah. Right.
there's a few spots that we can actually get started on, like Boulevard Apartments and
7th Street down here doesn't have a shelter. We want to have one in here, and those are out of the streetscape
Yeah,
project
sure.
area, so we'll do some of those.
Okay.
yeah, those will be our first ones.
Okay.
If we get there, we've actually put them all together, and I can walk from my office outside and all the way over to the shop without getting wet now. So we may not put them out. And 2 of them go from the front door to my car, so
I gotta
to come down here. I don't have to.
I gotta go test that out.
So are we just scrapping the roundabout, or is that just being pushed out for the
The idea is again to hold on that. Let's see what traffic flows and patterns do. We knew that there'd be some pushback on the idea. We put it in there last year. More it's just are we doing 16th? Are we doing that? We weren't really sure. Just want to have the conversation. Are we going to make improvements here? Are we going to make improvements here? And we decided to go ahead and move on the 16th Street extension and then see. I mean, that it is the top project that's listed from Kittleson in that report to reduce traffic flow at
Right.
19th and Applegate. It was to punch the 16th all the way through, and until you do that, it's just really too hard for anybody to predict what the traffic flows are going to be, especially if we're also going to look at taking truck traffic off and all those other things. So, if we can save that money by not doing the traffic circle or whatever's going to be there, then great. If we still need something, then I think we'd look at putting something back in at that time.
We thought it was wiser to wait for Cedar to get punch through to 16th and.
Yeah.
And I think we're at least 2 to 3 year, I think we're at least beyond this period before we really have enough data to look at to.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to leave it on there if it's gonna be 5 years until we do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that brings us to the end of that.
I had a question about our next thing, the park reservation system. Because I was thinking about, we had a library board meeting where they were talking about reservations of the library, but that the city, since we own the library, it's kind of up to us how we manage stuff. Because like they have a system for how you reserve a room at like the Corvallis Library, but their impression was that all the branch libraries, it's up to. Is that not the case?
They've never taken those. I think our library has always made those reservations. No one's
So no one
Senator.
wants to own it.
Yeah. Senator
Okay.
Anderson just had an event there.
Right,
He didn't
right.
call us to reserve it. He called
Well, no, I mean I know those, but I think what I was wondering is, would it be possible to put that room into the library reservation system, or would that be? Because I just feel like it is. I think a lot of people don't know that room exists. Like when you go on the library website, there's no mention of that room. When you go on the city website, there's no mention of that room. So if you're like looking for a room to use for some community meeting, it exists, and then go into the library and talk to a librarian. Us doing that if we wanted to.
I've got a meeting that we're scheduling with Ashley. She reached out to me today, actually, so I'll just put on my list to talk to her.
Okay, okay.
Find that in there.
I mean, if it's going to be a hassle, we don't have to. It just seems like it's a space the city owns that is reservable, and that we have a system. But, or I mean, for that, well, yeah, I don't know, but
You have administrators, Kevin?
Huh?
You have administrators though, and so it might be too complicated to have two different organizations administering it, because I don't think you could separate it out.
Oh,
Like if you
yeah.
get in the back end, you're gonna be like, you know, the
sure,
park system, so
okay,
it might not work, but.
And they
Look in there.
use it for all their
right, all their programs,
programs, and we had talked about it with Andrew Turbis,
Yeah.
a long time ago, because we had some vandalism in there, and
Okay.
he said, no, we'll take care of it, and they're the ones that have been letting doing the reservations and letting all that stuff happen, or not the vandalism, but the
Right.
rooms, because they've had the AARP tax
right,
in there, and there's just so much going on that I don't see how the city could regulate that
Yeah. Okay,
or meld that into their program and everything.
okay,
I'll bring it up, Ashley.
okay.
We've got several things. There's an agreement between Corvallis and Philomath that dates way back to when the library's first getting built,
Yeah.
and it needs updating. And so
Sure.
we'll just add that to the list of things to include in there.
Okay. Okay. Otherwise, this looks good. Are you tired of me talking yet?
No, not at all. Wake me up when it's my turn.
Printed twice.
I printed the old one with the strikeouts and where the attorney made some changes, and
Okay, and then this one is just the width.
what it should look
Yeah.
neat, and it was just easier to read.
No, that makes sense, yeah. Do we need to like move this?
Should get a motion if you're good with it, or if there's any changes that you don't care for, or anything else that you're looking through. We've got some time. If you want to do a motion to approve or recommend the changes to go to the city council for consideration. Great. But again, we can answer any questions that you've got.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, haven't got that in the notes. So, all right, we'll get this in front of the city council and see if anybody else has issues with it. Appreciate Kevin taking the time to go through that. Changes.
This turf stuff was a little over my head, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it was, I learned kind of a lot from that, but
Yeah.
that's what Cosby had asked
Right.
originally, and a good point.
The one question I had, I feel like I know the answer. We're just doing like basic green turf, right? Because they have all the little pictures of like music notes and stuff. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Not that music notes would fit, but you
Trying to
know.
get the yellow and green striping like an Autzen and like a vetoed, so we just all green.
You know, make it red, white, and blue for the Veterans Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of excited to see it come in. You know?
Right,
So
right.
I think it'll look nice and
And can you remind me, what is this like the actual play equipment going in there? And is that accessible? Okay.
there's I pointed to the calendar or the catalog and Chelsea ordered everything, so I'll try to remember. I know one of them's a spinner. It's kind of an upright, taller piece. It's got rope stuff that stand out, and then it's got like a
Okay.
seating area kind of to sit on. That's probably the least accessible bit is that
Okay.
spinner one. But then there's a swing set.
Okay.
It's got an accessible swing, and then
Okay.
it's got what's that, a climber of some sort that had some other stuff integrated with it.
Okay.
Applied, I think they said, and everything,
Yeah, I don't remember.
slide, and
I'll look.
just like a basic play equipment.
Okay.
That kind of-
Yeah. If not, Public Works.
Maybe out of the park.
Is it out of the park?
No, not
Not
yet.
yet. I think we were waiting until we were.
Save that bars for the swings or something like that, or
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't dare put swings up without fall material yet, because
Yeah.
even fencing it off, they'll be in there. So we're putting what we need to put in, you know, to be able to concrete in the posts, because the posts have to turn a certain way and be far apart. So they're kind of trying just to assemble that part of it, so we can get the legs concreted in and then get filled up and get ready for the grass or the fall material. And once fall material gets put in, finish assembling it.
Okay.
go out to the rest of the council too, that I think this information should.
We definitely can. I think the request was to have to come here and talk about it here
Oh,
and see if we need to do anything different. But we can definitely include it in like information correspondence. We'll just email it. So we just sent packets out today, so it might be kind of late if we wait till next month.
Which, by the way, you did officially get Campo and
Or just pass them out at the meeting.
What's that?
Just pass them out at the meeting.
Yeah, that might be a way to do it. Yeah, print them off and just have them there for every Monday night.
I have a feeling some of the counselors would like to put their hands on it.
I agree.
We have been working just while we're on Cochrane Park still, just an FYI, we've been working with a Eagle Scout candidate on a project. He wanted to do something in the park for the veterans, and so we've gone in with Shelter Works that makes the flower beds, kind of the concrete organic material mixed flower bed boxes. And we've got that all figured out and got a price. Tip of the hat to Chenard's. They had some that they had in inventory and they hadn't sold, and so they were sent them back, and it didn't look like they were going to be able to get credit for them because they'd had them for whatever period of time. But they did go ahead and give us credit for those. So Chenard's essentially donated those to the city to get the discount. We ended up getting like $1,000 or something off. So
Oh, wow.
I was very generous of Chenard's to kind of give us the credit for their return, which is great. And then they're also going to be donating some plant material, some flowers and stuff to go into the flower beds, which is awesome. The scout is going to be providing or finding a way to provide or get donated the dirt material, actual soil. And the city's gonna end up paying, I think it's a couple $1,000s for the flower box material, but we're gonna do all the entire frontage of College Street. We'll have the raised flower bed, and then along the backside where the sign's gonna go is all gonna sit up on like a 2-foot flower bed, and the sign will kind of. So it'll be pretty substantial and kind of cool. Add some depth to or some height to the park. Kind of separate it off from the sidewalk so it doesn't just look like another front yard. It'll really pop and make it look more like a park, and also force people to go into the park from the entrance and not just like hop through the flower beds to get into the park kind of thing. So excited about that. Kevin's been working on that, and Gary's been working on it, and I jumped in and helped allow a little bit, and so that'll be a cool scout project. Get that done. I think that'll be done end of the month or first part of February, somewhere in there. So are we gonna with the irrigation folks, and we'll have it irrigated, and it'll be cool.
Are we gonna do any kind of openings thing?
Yeah, we're just waiting for the date. My target's the first part of May, but definitely for Memorial Day, by the end of May. I'm kind of thinking Memorial Day would be a great time to actually do an event there. So we're trying to have substantial completion first part of May. Just depending how things go between now and then.
Okay.
We may do a soft opening before that, but I think our first event,
Right. Okay.
like ribbon cutting thing, would be on Memorial Day.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think we should be substantially complete. I saw the power, electrical inspection came back and was passed and closed, so we just need to finish up a couple of things, and we still have the memorial to do that Chelsea and I have been working on, so we're reviewing. We just got information back on that, so.
Okay. And where did we land? I know this, but on the memorial, because it's not the
We put an RFP out,
Okay.
and so we've got requests from artists, and I think we're going through a selection process to pick an artist and then work with them individually on
Okay.
what their vision for that would be.
So that's still a little ways out.
The granite.
Yeah.
We just got the request for proposals in and looking at some design stuff. We're waiting for some design.
May 1st. That's what we tell them. May 1st. Yeah. So
Okay.
we don't know what it will look like, but granite column, something with something on top.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the concept. We read the RFP.
Granite columns, something on top.
Granite columns, maybe something on top, maybe something hanging from the side. You tell us.
Saying that because it's a statue of him.
Keep it vague. Keep it vague. I told you it was going to be something on top.
Yeah.
You said okay.
It'll be an exciting unveiling.
Anything else?
Do we know when the tree board will be meeting next? Because I know Councilor Kazi brought up the whole concept of the tree ordinance, and I was curious where that was going.
Yeah, we haven't usually brought them in on these meetings. They tend to be a little bit longer when we're
Right,
focused on the capital improvement plan. So I don't know if we'll join them in next month or if we'll wait another month and have a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't had anything come out that we had any tree board issue stuff with yet. There will be heritage tree stuff coming up in March-ish.
Have we gotten any applications for this?
I haven't gotten anything yet for this year. They usually come in right at the last.
Something in the newsletter to remind people that the deadline's coming, and then
Yeah, well, and the whole idea is we didn't want to accept them throughout the year. It was like, hey, we've opened applications again, and
Oh, okay.
so we'll be doing that in next month, right? February, so that we've got them by. I don't remember, all the timelines in the plan that we approved, I just don't remember, but I think it's February when we like open it and have a closing date. And form the committee and have the committee do the review, the annual review and all that stuff.
Okay.
I think we talked about doing some type of a bike ride or some type of event on a Saturday and associated with it.
Awesome.
So,
Well.
Rock and roll.
are you
Shall we
adjourned?
adjourn?
let's adjourn. We'll adjourn at 4:30. We'll call it 4:30.
4:30. Perfect. You can still stop and see them.
The-
All right, thank you, gentlemen.